Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining Howard and myself for today's webinar. My name is Brad Horn. I'm the CEO and one of the founding partners of PTS, the developers of ClearStream and Tracer Plus software. And today we're going to be talking about our ClearStream 6.5 release, and we're really excited about it. And I'm going to give you a little background on why we added barcoding to something called ClearStream RFID and how that kind of evolved. And then Howie's going to go through the new features in 6.5. He's actually going to do a demo of how to set up a barcode scanner with ClearStream 6.5, and then give you a higher level view on some of the other features that we released. There we go. So first off, before we even get into ClearStream, I think it's important to give a little bit of a history, especially for those that have joined the call who are not part of the PTS customer base or partner base. PTS was founded in 2000 back on the Palm OS, and the mission from the beginning for the Tracer and Tracer Plus software, which is our flagship product, was to enable programmers and non-programmers to create barcode applications, and it evolved into RFID apps. These are all UI-based apps, meaning that the user is interfacing with the screen typically on an Android or an iOS device today. And they're doing barcode, RFID, beacon, and other ways of data capture. And that's really our specialty. I mean, we do other things without barcodes and RFIDs, but it's really data capture applications that are connecting to pre-existing databases. So again, our big point is there's no programming involved. Programmers love it, though, because they don't have to get involved and learn a new API for an RFID or a barcode device. And it's free to try, so there's no risk. Someone can put the demo together and put it out there and even release it. I can't tell you the number of stopgap applications that we have in place for the last 10 years that never got out of the gap. Anyway, around 2012, we started doing more and more RFID, and we saw this big niche in the market, or hole in the market, that the manufacturers, even at the time, weren't filling. Since then, they have filled it quite a bit and have released their own products. But at the time, there was no simple way for someone to connect a RFID passive reader, not a handheld, but a passive fixed reader to a pre-existing database quickly without either buying a big $100,000 system or hiring custom coders. Since then, people have offered, some of the bigger guys have put out their own tools to ease programmers and make it a little easier for them to get started. But still, those are specific for their manufactured devices and typically specific for RFID technology. Anyway, we put it out in 2012, and it is evolved. We've added all different types of manufacturers, and it's still the core of ClearStream, and it's ClearStream RFID. In 2021, you're going to see us release some new readers above. You'll see that we have Zebra, Fig, Impinj, ThingMagic, IFM, which is more of an industrial reader, and Alien as supported readers. But we also support LLRP, so there's other readers that maybe are not as popular, and we haven't developed directly to their API, but we do support those as well. And in 2021, in the near future, you're going to hear about some other readers that we will support. In 2018, really, our partners came to us and said, there's another hole in the market that we think you guys can help. It's kind of the wild, wild west out there with BLE Gateways. And we did our best to figure out the market, and we integrated BLE into ClearStream. And we support some manufactured readers. You see those there. And we support the two main standards, Eddystone and iBeacon. But again, it's very early in this market, even earlier than when we got into the RFID, fixed RFID in 2012. And the big manufacturers aren't really even putting out readers or gateways. It's a low-cost actual device. So our customers, why we got in the market is we saw the market was demanding someone to go in and go all in and buy a big, robust system or to hire a custom coder. So we integrated BLE into ClearStream in 2018, and this year we're even offering a low-cost gateway. So feel free to call us. We've just integrated with that gateway. It is available in 6.5, and it allows us to really control how we use the gateway, and we're not forced to use other software to deploy beacons. And definitely call your rep or your reseller, and you can learn more about that. But that's another big feature. Howie will be talking a little bit about it in the webinar. Anyway, we revamped our mission in 2020, 2021. It's again, we're really there to serve our customers and our partners. And what we heard from certain partners was, it's great if you're a big distributor or you have a big development staff and they can go in and learn those apps like I talked about that some of the manufacturers are releasing for the fixed RFID units that don't exist yet for the BLE units. There are apps out there for CogNex has their own apps. They're great for these big deployments, but there's nothing out there for non-programmers to really quickly develop a fixed barcode scanning application. And that's what we released. We actually integrated with the CogNex API. But the way we did it, we're opening ourselves up to a lot of other devices pretty quickly. And you're going to see those start rolling out through that 2021. And Howie's going to show you how to actually create those applications and how we're going to integrate those devices over the next year. You're going to see us release GPS devices where we're scanning in GPS codes directly into the ClearStream interface, giving you the ability to get that data into a pre-existing system. You're going to see us release the FIG headless RFID reader, so someone can just walk around and get RFID scans. Imagine someone's not even really knowing what they're doing. I mean, they're going to know they're scanning, but they're going to be taking inventory as they walk around. Then we're also going to have the headless wedge scanners working. So just to stream data, simple data scans into that pre-existing database, no coding, and you don't even have to have a PC. All you need to do is have that internet or BLE Bluetooth connection to some pre-existing data source. And then finally, we're going to even integrate this passive scanning through BLE and GPS and other technologies like RFID into Android-based and iOS-based devices. So workers, when they're on shift, can also do an inventory while they're just walking around. Or maybe we have a delivery person, and rather than putting GPS units into a truck, we'll just have the GPS tracking, quietly behind the scenes on their rugged device, not their personal device, but their rugged device, maybe a Zebra or some other manufacturer's Android device. Anyway, that's really on a high level how we did this crazy thing by offering barcode, or why we put barcode capabilities into ClearStream. Over the coming years, you're going to see us add a lot of technologies, and maybe we're not the best at naming a piece of software by putting RFID on the bottom, but RFID is still the core type of technology we're taking advantage of in ClearStream, but we're opening it up to other applications and other technologies. So you just have to really understand ClearStream to add on these data sources and stream that item level data into your pre-existing database. Anyway, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Howie, and Howie's going to really go through how it all works, and he'll show you what else is new in ClearStream 6.5.
Yeah, so thanks, Brad. All good information. So today I was going to give you guys a little bit of demonstration of the Dataman 260 by CogNex hooked up to ClearStream. And I guess it's important to keep in mind that we're trying to grow these different types of applications in ClearStream, like Brad had mentioned, so that the application can really stream data from different passive devices. So this happens to be a barcode scanner, but it could be something like Brad mentioned, GPS, some of those kind of wearable devices. You saw the screenshot there of the FIG handheld reader. That device will scan both barcodes as well as RFID without any user interface, and ClearStream will be able to handle the data being collected by those devices passively and stream them to a backend data source without any programming. So you don't have to get a programmer involved in the configuration of those devices and in the development of those devices. You would use ClearStream just to map them into a pre-existing system. And that's kind of what I'm going to show you today with this Dataman 260 device, but it will really apply to the different applications or different devices that we support in the future. So Brad's mentioning my PowerPoint's not full screen here. Yeah, it's in the wrong monitor. But so just imagine this growing to different devices in the future, both RFID, barcode scanning, and additional BLE gateways, things like that. So different technologies that allow the ClearStream application to stream into a pre-existing system. So I'm going to give you a live demo of the Dataman 260 and review some of the new features of ClearStream 6.5. Just a little bit about what the Dataman 260 is. Well, it's a fixed mount RFID scanner. You can see a screenshot here. It's image-based and very high-speed scanning, so it can capture a large quantity of barcodes, even in difficult scanning applications. Imagine like a high-speed conveyor belt or something like that, where it has to capture these barcodes, decode them, and send them to some type of application to consume that barcode data. For ClearStream, we currently require an Ethernet connected device for the different CogNex scanners. So they'll all come with different interfaces. For ClearStream 6.5, it will require the Ethernet interface so that it's sending the tag data over some type of network. And this applies as well to the other CogNex barcode scanners as well. So you just want to look at the that interface type rather than being USB or something like that, or an RS-232 type scanner. It would be the Ethernet version, and it doesn't just apply to the Dataman 260, but the other models as well for ClearStream 6.5. So with that, I'll just hop out of this PowerPoint and head over to ClearStream. Now, I do like to mention before I get started is that all of the software that I show you today is available for free trial on our website at ClearStreamRFID.com. So just hop over to the website there and go up to the free download or this try it, wherever you see one of these orange buttons. And you can download the software and actually trial anything that I show you today to see how it would work in your environment. So let me jump over to ClearStream. So after the installation, you'll have the ClearStream app. Now, I actually have it pre-configured with a CogNex reader here. I have one next to me that I have set up that I can run some barcodes past it very quickly that I want to scan into the application. I wanted to show you kind of it just working and then talk a little bit about the configuration and go through the setup of this device. And I just have one configured here, but you can see it's named the CogNex Dataman 260. Finally, I have my data source that I'm mapping this to is this access database. So right now you can see it's empty. There's no barcodes in it, no devices that have scanned into this application, but I have hooked up my CogNex 260 into this Microsoft Access database. And what I'm going to go ahead and do now is actually run some of these barcodes past the scanner. Just bear with me while I try to move these over here. So I'm going to go ahead and run them past the scanner. And as you do, I got to start my reader here. I'll run these past. And as I do that, you're going to see the counts go up in the ClearStream application. So just as you've seen in the past with RFID scanning, it's recording these and streaming the barcode information into the database. And then if I jump over to my access database, you'll see all of the barcodes that I just ran past this reader have been captured into the access database and dumped there with some of the values I have mapped. So the barcode value that was scanned, and there's just some test barcodes I have here, the device that happened to capture the barcodes as they were scanned, along with the date, timestamp, and MAC address of this Dataman 260. So again, it's just streaming that barcode data over to the destination through the configuration of ClearStream. And I can go ahead and try to do that again. And you can just see, let me run these by. Okay, so there's some additional barcodes, and I'm just swiping these by. You can see the speed of the scanner. And if I jump back over to the access database and refresh it, you can see those additional barcodes scanned and dumped into this access database. So let's talk a little bit about the configuration of that within ClearStream. So I'm just going to stop my scanner here and jump over to the configure. So any of you that have used ClearStream will be familiar with this setup, but it's basically identical to, or almost identical to, how you would configure an RFID scanner or a BLE gateway into a destination. So from this configuration here, you can see my source of data is currently set up as a CogNex Dataman 260, and my destination is an ODBC database, which happens to be that Microsoft Access table called the ClearStream RFID sample, and the table is CogNex Bar Codes. And then down below, I have the fields married up from the barcode reader to the destination. The barcode that's being captured by the device, the reader name, which I named it to be the CogNex 260, a MAC address, as well as the date time of when that barcode was captured by the equipment. Finally, all I needed to do was add that CogNex to my configuration. So to do that, I just go ahead and hit the Add button here, select CogNex from the dropdown, so it's a new entry in ClearStream 6.5. I just need to make sure that I have the correct device ID configured here as that is available from the reader. You would get that from the device itself through the CogNex software. And then I can just customize how and when the barcodes, I keep saying tags, are sent to the destination using the ClearStream configuration down below. So you do have some flexibility of when those barcodes are forwarded on to the Microsoft Access or whatever the backend database might be. And that's it, really. I just have to configure this as a device in our configuration and map it to a destination. And then when I start it up, the barcodes that are being scanned by this Dataman 260 reader are being sent directly to this ODBC data source on the right-hand side here. If I wanted to add an additional device, I would just go ahead to my configuration, click Add again, select CogNex, enter the device ID here, name this one. Maybe this is barcode reader 200, whatever it might be, and then use this as a mappable device in another process. So I go ahead, rather than selecting my Dataman 260, I'm going to select barcode reader 200, select where I'd like to send the barcode data, and it could be the same Access database or something else, and select that and map the fields appropriately for this device. So I could select the same destination so that now an additional reader is sending its barcode data directly to this destination as well on the right-hand side. Now, a little bit about some of the destination options you have here. ODBC allows you to send to any type of database like Oracle, MySQL, Access, things like that. We have a SQL Server client connection, so you can actually send it directly to a SQL Server database. An Excel workbook, you can stream these barcodes directly to an Excel workbook text file. And then the template option here allows you to do things like send an email of your barcode data, or maybe send the barcode data to a web service as a web service post, something like that. So you can customize it to maybe a particular API if you needed to go that route, or you can just use these configuration options above with ODBC, SQL Server, Excel, and text. So you have a lot of flexibility as to where you're sending that data. Now, this is all done through configuration here, so I just wanted to mention that if you were to actually take one of these readers and go ahead and you wanted to program these yourself, you not only have to write that API interface to the reader so that you're connecting to the reader, maybe configuring it in a certain way, and set that portion of the code up, but you also have to code for where you're sending the data as it's being streamed to the database. So ClearStream is handling all of that for you, where it's adding the device to the configuration, selecting where you want to send that barcode data on the right-hand side here, and then it's just really streaming that data from your readers that are in your environment to that selected destination with no programming involved. Now, I will mention, I didn't show it today, there is a little bit of configuration you do on the device itself. You do have to point the device to where ClearStream is running, but once you do that, this is as simple as the configuration is. You go ahead and map the reader to a destination, and it will just flow those barcodes into your destination based on the settings that you've configured. So again, it's just as simple as adding that CogNex reader to your list here. You can even copy it if you'd like, if you just want to create a bunch of duplicates. So you have a whole bunch of these devices reading into the same destination and then mapping it to the final location of where you want all of your barcode data captured. So that's how you'd set up a CogNex reader to ClearStream. Again, it has to be a CogNex Ethernet-based reader, a TCP/IP-based reader. So you just want to take a look that it has the Ethernet connection or communication option on the particular reader, but then it could be any one of their devices to send the data to ClearStream. So that's how you would configure a CogNex reader in ClearStream. Then I wanted to kind of show you guys a little bit about the additional features we have in 6.5. And actually, I would like to mention too, we'll have a question and answer period at the end of the webinar. So please feel free to take down any questions you have. We'd be happy to answer them at the end of the demonstration. But some of the other features we have built in ClearStream here, the first I did want to mention is we've built in a new connection option for FIG RFID readers, and this is kind of building out so that we can support their different kind of headless readers, the wearable device that they have, some of their mobile RFID or mobile barcode scanning devices. And they support something called notification mode with their RFID readers as well as all of their other devices. And what notification mode is for the FIG readers it's a mode where the reader actually scans and collects the data locally on the device and phones home the captured data when it gets a connection back to ClearStream. So it is doing the scanning itself, the storing of that data, and then the forwarding of it to ClearStream. And then what ClearStream does is it gives you the ability to turn on that notification mode so that it's consuming or grabbing that data that's being collected by those devices. And then in the same way you stream one of these CogNex barcode devices to a destination, you would stream the RFID readers or barcode readers to a destination as well. So you can imagine these different technologies in ClearStream capturing this information both from a fixed barcode scanner to a mobile headless wearable RFID scanner or barcode scanner, and all of that data is flowing through to the destination that you have selected. So that we do support that FIG notification mode. And again, the reason I bring this up is some of those different wearable devices that they support, the handheld devices, run in that notification mode, and ClearStream will support that so that it can consume that data and send it to where you select. And again, same thing with the CogNex reader. There's no programming then through the FIG API. It's ClearStream is handling the connections and also the destination of where that data is going. We've also added and built up some of our BLE features within ClearStream 6.5. So we've added, like Brad mentioned, another gateway type for the receiving of barcode BLE beacons. And we've added a bunch of filtering options for those gateways. So you can see here for scanning for different BLE devices, we've had, you can check on or off whether you're scanning for iBeacons or Eddystone beacons, the different types of Eddystone beacons. In the iBeacon side, you can filter by UUID number or major or minor from those beacons, or on the Eddystone side, the namespace and instance. So from a hardware level, from all the gateways that we support, you can now control how many beacons you're scanning for. So it improves both performance of the gateways and the data that's being collected by ClearStream, as well as just getting rid of any stray beacons in your environment that you're maybe not looking to capture. And you only want to consume ones that happen to have this, these filtered type of items here for those beacon types. We've also added the option for averaging distance values for beacons. So you can actually average the distance from these beacons. Now, the reason I mention this is we are looking for, in the next release of ClearStream, adding additional support for proximity and locating of beacons. And this averaging function works in with that. So basically, it's taking the beacons in your environment, queuing them up to some level that you'd like, that minimum tag beacon read here, it's 4, but it's queuing those beacon reads up and then averaging the distance value from them. So it's smoothing that distance calculation to all of the beacons in your environment so that you can do proximity locationing of these beacons in your environment. So it's smoothing out the data and making a much more accurate calculation of where the beacons are within a facility, let's say. So keep your eye out on that. We do have another release coming out that'll actually build on top of that even further, where you have the ability to keep track of beacons in a very accurate manner as to where they're going throughout a facility based on the zones or of these gateways that you have configured throughout the environment. So it averages that data that it then is going to send over to the destination. So you get a good idea of where a particular beacon is within the environment. Finally, the other feature I did want to mention here, and again, it builds on this idea that we want to support more devices inside of ClearStream as sources of data. So the sources of the data that get mapped to a destination just through the configuration of ClearStream. Now this one is on the bottom of the list here, is the custom option. And basically what this does is it'll add a device to the configuration that you may not know exactly, or it's not specifically supported through ClearStream, but it's expecting a certain packet of data coming from the device that it can send to a destination. So if I were to add a custom device here, let's just happen to name it like a GPS device. Okay, so maybe it's a battery-powered GPS receiver with a SIM card in it to send over like a WAN type network. Now, ClearStream could be listening for this custom device, and it can be listening for it on a couple different ways. It could be a TCP server, UDP server, or HTTP server, which will spin up for this device in ClearStream and then receive that data over that connection. And then by adding custom fields, maybe this device has a lat and a long field, we can capture that and map it to the destination. So I have a lat and a long field, maybe I'm listening on HTTP. As long as that GPS device is posting to this address here, which happens to be this install of ClearStream, it's going to consume the data being sent to it by that custom device, as long as it's in a particular format, and then populate the lat and long fields here to be sent and mapped over to the destination. So again, it's another device accessible as a source, GPS, to another destination on your right-hand side here, and it has now additional lat and long fields that you can map to the destination. So this just happens to be a device that ClearStream doesn't necessarily know about, but it's listening on this port for the data that's coming over from those devices, consuming that data, and then mapping it right to your destination and posting it as a new record, maybe a new lat and long location where this device happens to be. Just to elaborate on this a little bit more, we're going to be adding a templating option for this so that you can design what this data packet looks like. Right now, it has to be in a certain format, which you can check the user guide for that format, and then it'll work right out of the box with ClearStream. But we're going to be putting in a templating option here so you can actually customize what that looks like or what ClearStream expects that packet to look like. So really, it could be any device that can send a post message or some type of request to an HTTP server. It could take that, grab the data, it would know how to parse it and post it over to the destination here. Again, with no programming, just design the template for what that data looks like. So that's a custom option there, and that will be the basis for some of the devices going forward, where we build out these additional devices so that they can be data sources for ClearStream in order to map it into some backend database without any programming. It's just taking that data, consuming it, and pushing it over to the mapped destination that you have selected in ClearStream. So I think that's everything that I wanted to show you as far as ClearStream 6.5. I'm going to jump back over to the PowerPoint, I guess. And at this point, we can bring up any questions we have. And I have to switch these monitors around.
Yeah, great job, Howie. You can hear me okay, right?
Yep. Thanks, Brad.
So I think that's a great demo, and it really shows the flexibility we're adding in ClearStream 6.5. We did have a question, and it's a good opportunity to further underline and highlight the differences between ClearStream and Tracer Plus. One of our users from Tracer Plus side said, really, I want to understand what the differences are. And I would just think about it as Tracer Plus requires or is recommended to have user interaction. You're usually building a mobile data collection form or some sort of form to collect data. I mean, you can do it kind of passively, but it's really meant for someone to interact with, pull a trigger and scan in an area, maybe accept a variable that's out of whack, or submit something to a database that needs to be submitted. You know, your car inspection forms, inventory audits, asset audits with the user walking from place to place. ClearStream is really, and I think we use the term headless, it's for example, a fixed RFID reader does not have a person next to it turning on and off. It is on or turned on by movement, and it sends data passively to a pre-existing system. For example, you would probably set ClearStream up in a supply closet when you want to, detect a user's badge and automatically scan that item leaving the supply closet. I mean, you could put a barcode scanner in that supply closet, and if someone doesn't pick it up, it's not going to get any better by putting an RFID scanner in there that's mobile. You want to have something like a fixed RFID scanner. The same goes for what we're using with the CogNex. CogNex is a headless barcode reader. It's capturing data as something goes past. There's no person holding a trigger. For us, I think it really opens up a lot of opportunities to take the power of ClearStream where it can make it really easy for someone to configure this environment, collecting the data. They don't need to be a programmer anymore. They don't have to pay $20,000 to outsource it somewhere. They can actually do it themselves, configure that fixed RFID reader, now that fixed barcode scanner, that BLE triangulation or BLE reader gateway they can put in place. And with that same software tool, now all of a sudden without learning an API, they may be able to get GPS coordinates on their trucks. It really is a great way for small and large companies with programmers or without programmers to quickly set up that passive data streaming. So I hope it's a little clearer now what we're doing. Again, it's confusing in the names. We understand that. When we initially developed ClearStream RFID years ago, we didn't necessarily know how successful it was going to be and how much the users would like it and drive it forward. With that being said, we're always listening, and we want to hear what else you think is important to the product and what other technologies you'd like to see be integrated with it. That same user asked if the webinar was going to be recorded. Yes, it'll be up on the ClearStream RFID YouTube site probably in a week or so. We'll probably just edit it so you don't have all the dead space and the silence in the beginning. But that'll be up on the YouTube site. We really hope everybody can subscribe to that because that will send out alerts whenever we put new videos up. Maybe it's just a device review or maybe it's a feature review. So someone asked if we can resell the software. We do have a channel. It's worldwide. We sell through manufacturers and distributors and resellers around the globe. All you would have to do is fill out a application on the ClearStream website, and you would have our channel account manager reach out to you. Go ahead, Howard. You can take the next one.
I can probably take it. Yeah. So I have a question here. Is this purely a data capture solution, no I/O for other scanners or data functions, i.e. stop line or a diverter? So this is a very good question. ClearStream actually does support I/O, not currently on the CogNex Bar Code readers. However, it has supported since the beginning I/O on fixed RFID readers. So we do support the GPIOs for both tripping the scan or starting a scan in an environment. So imagine, like Brad had mentioned, a portal that has a motion detector. You can use ClearStream to basically configure the motion sensing to trip a read for X number of seconds so that it can capture tag data only while there's activity at a portal. And that's through the input on the device. It can also control the outputs based on different events that actually occur within the environment. So maybe a tag read. If a tag read occurs, you can have the output light up, so you can do alarms or buzzers or even a diverter in some cases to control the flow on a conveyor belt or something like that. But it's always supported that. Now, it doesn't actually support the CogNex or any CogNex functions that would be available on the reader currently on the device, but it is something we'd be glad to talk with you after the webinar about, how you're looking to use the I/O in that respect. But on the RFID reader side, we support I/O for almost all of the readers that we support for controlling different things, gates maybe for vehicle access, things like that. So good question.
Someone asked the question if we see these two products converging. That is a really interesting question, and we always talk about that internally to be as transparent as possible. There's no plans in the near future. They're just two different, but also very similar at the same time. They run side by side. We have countless customers running Tracer Plus on mobile handhelds on maybe RFID or barcode, and at the same point, they'll be running a ClearStream setup for, asset scanning, or maybe it's an inventory application for shelf tracking, who knows what. They constantly run side by side, and as we do statements of work or scopes of work for customers, especially with this CogNex scanner and the reader, we see different applications that require both types of technology side by side, whether it be barcode and RFID working side by side, but we also see the need for UIs being integrated side by side. So Tracer Plus maybe controlling some sort of ClearStream application. It's getting quite interesting, but we don't have any plans in the near future to converge the two products. It's just too complex. So I'll let you answer the follow-up question for this customer.
No problem. So here's a question. When the two are running side by side, how much of a challenge is it to write to the same location? So this only really depends on the type of destination you're attempting to write to. if you're going to a database or maybe a web service, something like that, you shouldn't have any issue. You really just map, in the Tracer Plus world, you map Tracer Plus Connect in your forms to that database or web service. And in the ClearStream world, you can map to that same location. The configuration is very similar in mapping your forms in Tracer Plus to that destination, or the fixed readers to that destination. And the database intending to be used in a multi-user environment has no problem taking the data coming from both ClearStream as well as Tracer Plus. The only issues you'd ever run into in a multi-user environment like that, or mapping multiple systems into the same thing, would be like if you're going to an Excel workbook or text file or something like that. You typically don't want to do that if you have multiple devices, multiple users writing to a destination. You just want to make sure that would be going to a database directly, SQL Server, MySQL, anything like that, or a web service that can be listening for these connections to get the data coming from the devices and the Tracer Plus users. So you shouldn't really have any challenge there, other than, I guess, doing the configuration twice, once for Tracer Plus and once for your fixed passive readers. But there shouldn't be any trouble otherwise in mapping to the same destination.
Yeah, and typically those data sets are quite different, and what we're actually doing with the data is quite different. ClearStream is often looking for something to happen on the database based on something showing up, and not so much a user input, but more about the antenna location or the reader location. We're changing something, and maybe something's happening on the database side. Tracer Plus is more we're updating the database in multiple fields of data, not just based on the item number. We're maybe updating colors, temperatures, who knows what. We're taking data input. So they're very different. And I think, Howie, it's so important to mention, and I'll underline and highlight what you said there. We even go to Excel and CSV files with this data. And through both products, we're really doing our best to open up the opportunity to implement or integrate Tracer Plus in something as simple as an Excel file, which we do not recommend, whether it be Tracer Plus or ClearStream, to run Excel files for a long period of time and don't run them with multiple users or multiple RFID readers. It's just not really, Excel's not meant for that. We do support it quite a bit. You really should be using a database at that point. Okay, it looks like, I don't know if I see any other questions. If anyone has any more questions, now's the time to put them in. Personally, I would like to thank all of our customers and our partners. It's been a really difficult year for all of us around the globe with this COVID pandemic, but we really want to thank you guys. We had a phenomenal year, and it's really because of our partners and our customers who were there working with us side by side, dealing with the difficulties of remote work. We've been delivering to home addresses and getting cell phones and doing a lot of work in a lot of different ways. And we had a great 2020 because of our customers and our partners and their contributions. And we really also are excited about 2021. So we didn't lose any staff. We kept 100% employment through 2020, and we're adding staff right now for us, a smaller company, at a pretty good clip. We've added programming staff. We're adding more on the accounts management side. If you haven't met Michelle, she's working in the account management. So we've expanded our sales/account management team, and it's all possible because of these great partners and these great customers that we have. With that said, Howie, I don't know if you want to add anything else.
I don't think so. I mean, I guess keep an eye out, guys. We will be posting this webinar, but for webinars coming up and some of the features we're adding ClearStream that we're pretty excited about. So keep an eye out for that, and we'll send out the material just to keep you guys updated. But we're going to continue to build out based on some of these features in 6.5 to really add additional flexibility in ClearStream as to what can be sending data to it out in the field. So we're pretty excited about that, and I guess keep a lookout for the next couple of webinars that we have coming up.
Okay, so we do have one more question. It's a great one. Cloud services. We have the PTS Cloud. is a big part of why we had a great 2020. It's a simplistic solution, as many of you know who may be using it, but it is solid and it does what it's supposed to do. And we've put up more than we expected over the last year, to the point of we're hiring cloud developers right now. And both products work hand in hand with the PTS cloud or your own cloud, or take our cloud and connect it to your cloud. It's really up to how you want to move that data. And if you've been working with us long enough, you know we are all about flexibility. We don't want anyone to get tied to anything, whether it be hardware or a back-end software or database. We obviously want our system as flexible as possible, so you stick with ClearStream and Tracer Plus, but we also want to give you the choices you need to have, so when you expand, grow, change with technology, you can take advantage of it. And the cloud has been a great resource for us. Howie, maybe you can tell some of the things that will be added to the cloud over the next, since we have a little bit of time, over the next year, what you guys are looking to do on a very high level. Don't give any dates.
Yeah, so the cloud integrations we've done are pretty exciting. So we through one of our cloud services, offer the ability to spin up a Tracer Plus or PTS cloud, where we will host a user manageable website for you and a repository for the your data. And it can be used for both Tracer Plus as well as ClearStream as a place to send it if you don't have something already in place, or you want to centralize maybe something you already have. So a ton of our customers have access databases or Excel workbooks in some cases, where they're collecting this data and sending it to those locations. However, they want to be able to share it maybe more with their employees, or they want to be able to sync outside of their environment because some things inside are too restrictive, so that the data is not available to everyone. So with our cloud services, we can spin up a Tracer Plus PTS cloud that can be the holding point for the data that's coming from all of the Tracer Plus devices in the field, or the ClearStream readers that are configured to point to this cloud. And then we have tools to build out different reporting and data viewing options in that cloud that's customized to what you're looking to do. So we have a number of clients that have these sites spun up with different data reporting tools built on top of the database in this cloud. And then ClearStream and Tracer Plus are feeding this cloud the data. They're just pointed to this cloud instance. And then you can log in, manage your users, manage your data, and see that data for both just data viewing as well as data reporting. And again, it's customized to you. So you work with our team here, our tech team here, to kind of spec out what you're looking to do, and we can spin those up relatively quickly and build them out against that ClearStream setup, as well as Tracer Plus. So we're pretty excited about the cloud setups.
Definitely excited. And just to give everybody an idea of where we're hitting on this, I mean, we are Salesforce users, Zendesk users. We love the software. We love the technology. Those are big, robust systems. And there are a lot of thought goes into when I'm going to add licenses or users for those pieces of software. And we understand that if you are using Tracer Plus to get the data into, say, Salesforce, you typically don't maybe have to add a user, but that user's already there. But there's a lot of things that we're collecting data for that systems don't exist for, or they're going into a big back-end software system that doesn't have the technology to handle all this disparate data from different locations. So we're really making it affordable. It's really designed for 10 users or more, but we are sub $1,000 for up to I think it's up to 500 users connecting to the cloud. And there's a little bit of a cost for a customization. And as time goes on, as Howie mentioned, we're going to build more and more capabilities for that user or that admin to customize the cloud. The other big thing about our cloud is it gets a little confusing, but there's managers of licenses within the subscriptions for Tracer Plus. It's really a side tool to the PTS cloud. It's a Tracer Plus subscription manager, and ClearStream will have the same shortly. But that makes your admin of your users much easier. Again, it could be 10 plus users, or it could be 2, but really fits for that 10 plus much better. But what it does is it makes it very easy for someone to wind down a device and relicense another device, especially with these rugged terminals. A lot of times there are 100 terminals around the country, and they go in for repair and device IDs change, or maybe it's a PC that's running Tracer Plus Connect that changes. And so you have to reach out to us for a change of license. With the subscription manager, that's, again, part of the PTS move to the cloud, you don't have to reach out to us. You just change it on your own and you manage it on your own. So you could spin up 20 users, extra users for a week on Tracer Plus. Again, that's a subscription for Tracer Plus now, not the PTS Cloud. And you can use that for a month, and maybe it's a hot part of the your cycle where you're doing a lot of inventory audits or a lot of shipping, and you need those extra users, and then you want to spin them down a month later, you can. Are there any? I guess the big question, we're hearing this even from our reps about on-prem Howie configurations. The cloud is really meant to run on our PTS cloud, but we configure it for you. But again, the users will have access to that cloud from any location, even they can run a browser on their mobile phone and see the data.
Right. So the cloud is meant to be on our cloud servers and customized to what you're looking to do, and you only have access to that web interface for managing and viewing your data. We haven't done any on-premise installs of that type of setup, and I don't know if we have any plans to do so, because it's really meant for ease of use of our customers and ease of configuration from our standpoint and management of that kind of code base, which is much easier in the cloud than if it were a more standard install at a site.
Yeah, and for the big customers where this cloud really fits in, it takes out a lot of the IT concerns. Firewalls, all those type of problems are handled by this cloud. And it's a very consistent way for us to deploy an application. If we get into on-prem deployments, and we do this all the time with Tracer Plus Connect, but there's a lot more heavy lifting or learning as we navigate through someone's IT, firewalls and protocols and what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. We actually see big companies coming to us for the cloud just so they don't have to worry about getting devices approved to run their network. We're actually seeing more devices with data-only plans, sending data to our cloud, and then their users have access to that and then can run reports and bring that data into their pre-existing systems. It's a nice solution. It's, like I said, simplistic is the key to what we're doing right now, and it always has been. We try to keep it as simple as possible. If anyone uses Salesforce, or admins a Salesforce type of install, it's pretty complex software. The cloud we're developing is not. It's pretty simple. Okay, I think with that said, I don't see any other questions. Again, encourage everybody to follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn. Give us feedback. If you have any great technology that you think we should be looking at, please let us know. We really listen. All right? Thanks so much. With that said, I think we'll just turn it down now, Howie. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Yep. Thank you very much for joining us today, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.